Hello, hello. My name's Andrew. This is Blake Newbar's partner program, the High Performance Call. Appreciate you guys being on, whether you're watching live, you're watching on the recording. The purpose of these is, a gym for your brain. I'm here to get yourselves in shape, to whip you into shape if needs be, but to give you the training regimen that you can do to help you grow your skills, grow your mindset, and develop into kind of the best entrepreneur that you can be. This is a journey. This is not a sprint. As much as we want it to be up and over quick, it takes time, it takes effort. And the purpose of these calls is to help you build yourselves out so that you can get there. So by all means, drop in comments, let me know. Participate Monday through Friday, noon Eastern time, every day, same time right here. Calls will be up on the YouTube channel later on. If you haven't yet, please, subscribe, like the channel, comment if you watch a video. Appreciate you guys that are doing that. So on to what we're talking about today. This is I want to talk about a book that I've read a couple of times. One of my favorite authors, one of my favorite coaches, one of my favorite, just trainers in the personal development space, the high performance space. We're going to talk about Brendon Burchard. We're talking about a guy who has been doing this for a while. I got a chance to meet him through, Joe Polish and the Genius Network and Prana Marketing that I've talked to you guys about before. I had a chance to meet Brendon back when it was just his first book had been released, and he had just started, he'd been coaching for a little bit. And then I remember when his second book came out, Millionaire Messenger, and he talked about the process, the funnel that he took people through and the training that was involved and what he did and how it worked. And it was just eye-opening to me at a time that I was just getting introduced to internet marketing. Since then, what I've done is I've gone out and pretty much anything that Brendon has written, I've bought. I've taken part in a number of his different courses. I've been to some of his events. Love his stuff. Highly recommend his reading, or any of his books. So the one we want to talk about today, though, is this one, Brendon Burchard, High Performance Habits. If someone wants to do me a favor and write down that name and, name of the book, name of the author, drop it into the chat in case people are going to ask. But High Performance Habits, and really any of Brendon's books, you guys can go to his website, and I think it's just brendon.com, and you can purchase most of his books. At least you used to be able to, just for the cost of shipping. Now, what does he do though? He takes you into a funnel that offers other training, other programs, and he's got a monthly, he's got, high level coaching, everything else. I'm just talking about the books. If you want anything else, then that's up to you. But I highly recommend his stuff. Now, what Brendon did within High Performance Habits, he did a survey of high performers, entrepreneurs, executives, athletes, all sorts of people at a higher level of accomplishment than, where just about all of us would be okay saying, yep, they've done well in their life. Okay. And he did a survey of these individuals, and he looked at what was necessary. And this isn't what he was trying to point out really is that it is not as much a factor of who you are, where you were born, what color your skin is, man or woman, innate talents or skills that you've got. It's about developing the habits that let you overcome. There were a lot of people that may not be the most talented. They may not have the most natural gifts, that may not have been given the easiest pathway, and yet they developed the talents or the habits that allowed them to develop the talents that got them where they needed to be. And we can all talk about the difference between, natural born talents and talents that we develop, but I think that's something that we can all kind of agree on, right? We know that there's a difference there. And as I was studying all of this, there's an interesting story that came up, that I read about a biosphere created in Arizona, right? And it's in Oracle, Arizona, and you guys can study this out. So in Oracle, Arizona, scientists got together, funding, all sorts of millions and millions of dollars were put together. They created this biosphere, and it was a program to set up a perfect growing environment. Part of it was to see if they could create that themselves. Part of it was to see if they could do something that may be able to be duplicated on the moon. They created it within this biosphere. They created different areas. So you had, the mountainous type atmosphere. You had desert, you had tropical rainforest. You had everything in between. The soil was perfect. The air conditions were perfect. Lack of pollution, humidity in the areas was just right. And they went in and they planted all of these different crops, and they were trying to create, this perfect thing. And maybe some of you have seen that movie Biosphere from back in the 90s with Pauly Shore and Baldwin and everything. And that's not what I'm talking about. This was a real science experiment that they put together. And everything grew there faster, better than it was outside. Except what they started to notice is that the trees, the fruit trees and some of the other trees that had been planted in all of these different areas, they would mature or they would grow faster. The speed of growth was more than it would be outside. But over time, these trees started to bend, and they started to bend more, and they started to bend more until some of them were bending all the way over that they were touching the ground, and they're going, what the hell is going on? Because right outside our biosphere, there are trees that are here, and those trees that were planted at the same time are taller and stronger, and they're just fine. What's going on? Has anybody heard this story? Does everybody know what was wrong? Why were these trees with perfect nutrition and perfect soil and the opportunity for those roots to grow and become strong and everything that they needed to grow that they thought? What was missing? Why were they leaning over like this? And after a time and thinking and studying, there you go, Remus, no wind. See, outside, regular trees experience wind and stress, and it causes the wood all throughout the tree to harden and become more firm. And inside there was no wind. And so the principles of the wood were there, but the fibers down to a molecular level were different simply because there was no wind, there was no stress. So there are talents and there are skills and there are other things that you could have in your life, but without developing the right kind of habits to overcome the stress and overcome the obstacles and everything else that you need, you're going to end up like those trees. Tom, be careful what you ask for. You don't necessarily need more wind. You need the right habits and everything to get you up and through. Now, some of you, though, on the other hand, do. Some of you have lived a life that's almost, I don't want to say been too easy, but you haven't allowed yourself to be challenged the way that you should. Right? Wind starts kicking up and you run away. You go, well, that's not for me. It's windy over here. And I hear this a lot from people who look at faith or destiny or divinity in a different way. Carol and I spent 18 years in a hurricane. Well, you are solid and strong and ready to roll then, right? Nothing will break you down now. But what happens a lot of times is they go, well, if these obstacles are here, then it just must not be God's will or the universe's will or whatever. And so you switch, you change. Well, I thought it would be easier. I thought I'd be able to just do it. And you're unwilling to go through, like Carolyn's talking about, the hurricane or more wind to get you where you need to be. Now, this story isn't directly from Brendon's book, High Performance Habits, but I think it holds true because these habits have nothing to do with the talents you're born in. It has nothing to do with, all of these outside, the things that we're given. But if you develop the right kind of habits, then you can overcome no matter the situation. And you can see yourself through that storm. So I want to talk about some of those habits, all right? And we'll break some of that down. Grasshopper ceiling, David. All right, here we go. Little key into the habits here, ladies and gentlemen. These are, excuse me for just a moment as I'm about ready to cough. Okay. That a little better? My audio all right? All right. Personal and social habits. Seek clarity, generate energy, raise necessity. And then on the social side, increase productivity, develop influence, demonstrate courage. If you guys remember, emotional awareness, emotional IQ really boils down to two big things. It is the self and the social side of it. Self-awareness, self-management. Social awareness, social management. How we interact. Brendon is pulling from that. Right? And I'm sure he did that on purpose, but it's the personal and the social. Seeking clarity, self-awareness, generate energy as we understand more what we're doing and we can raise what we're doing and then raise the necessity there. So I'm going to talk about some of these elements here. All right. We're going to dive a little bit into some of these. Number one, seeking clarity. The first habit is about seeking clarity for who you are and what you want. I always talk about that. I feel like the first step on the pathway to confidence in what you do is about clarity. If you don't know what you want, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you want to be, moving yourself forward in any significant way is going to be difficult. Yes, absolutely, Carolyn. Know thyself, to thine own self be true. Seeking clarity, right? High performers are clear on their intentions for themselves, the social world, their skills, their services. Understand what skills you have. Now, self-awareness and doing, a skills-based test or a habits-based test. I've recommended some of these. StrengthsFinder 2.0 is great for things like that. Doing these things, don't do them and then beat yourself up because there are certain skills or things that you haven't developed yet. Because you can either develop the skills or you can outsource them, but habits are things that you need. There's a difference between the habits and skills, right? And we can all understand that. Skills I can learn or I can outsource. Habits are things that will help carry me through no matter what. So seeking clarity, first with self. First aspect of clarity is knowing yourself. This is what Brendon says. He says, be more intentional about who you want to become. Have vision beyond your current circumstances. Imagine your best future self and start acting like that person today. So quit saying, I'm just not a techie. I'm not organized. I'm no good when it comes to fitness or health or, relationships. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Start acting now as if you are that person, or at least that you are that person that's developing those habits and those skills. It plays a big role. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference if you're actively trying to do it, unless you tell yourself, man, I suck at this. Man, I hate this. So mentally prep yourself and do what you need to do. Next, socially, Brendon says, high performers have clear intentions about how they want to treat other people. So first, who I am and how I treat myself and how I want to be perceived, but then how I want to treat other people. In every situation that matters, they know who they want to be and how they want to interact with others. This is what he says. I would say in every situation, if I am clear on who I am and I'm honest and open, then no matter what situation I am found within, I can come out of that with a positive interaction with other people, right? The person at the restaurant, walking up to the janitor, there's those stories about, treating people equally. It doesn't matter what other people do. If you're clear about your intention about treating other people in every situation, you'll know how to interact. Now that plays true in social media as well, guys. All right. So skills, clarity with skills. Here's what you need to do. I've talked about this. We've talked about skills, but know what skills and experiences you need to develop in order to be more successful in the future. By identifying the skills required to excel, you can then be intentional about learning, practicing, and reflecting on those. Over time, you'll develop the expertise necessary. If you haven't yet, I did a training on high income skills. Certain skills that you can learn, and if you do it right, do it, well, spend the time there, you'll be able to have social, financial, personal success no matter what you do, no matter what pathway you decide to roll in. There are high income skills that you need to develop. But if you are clear in which ones you're developing, then you can be intentional with what you do. Service. Clarity with service. High performers care deeply about the positive impact they make for others in their broader community. They seek to clarify whom they are serving and what those people need in order to deliver their contributions with heart and elegance. So what's that boil down to? A lot of you guys, we were talking about this last week. Some of you guys have passion projects now, things that you want to do overall. You want to transcend this income into creating an impact. Now, that impact could be on a grand scale. It could simply be within your family. It could be that if you live your life to the best of your ability and become the best version of yourself, that you're going to become a better father, a better wife, a better mother, a better husband, a better whatever, better friend, family member, son, brother, any of those things. If I become the best version of me, how much more am I able to give unto other people in their lives? And then we have these other things that are service, and you have service in the community. We have some of you that are serving sections of the community within your niche. And if you push yourself and you're intentional in what you want to do, then you can achieve more than if you're just saying, one day I hope that possibly somehow, blah, blah, blah. Quit being so laissez-faire about being able to help others and what you can achieve and where you can go. Because if you're intentional about it and you're clear about it, then there's some big things that you can do, right? So Forrest says it's proven fact what you feel about yourself and others is perceived through positive thoughts. Absolutely. How you feel about others. If you guys think that you hide your true feelings from everybody else, then you're mistaken. You know, I've said this before. So after Katrina, and some of you guys know the story. So I did cleaning and restoration for years. Katrina came along. My second son was 2 days old. I took off for the Gulf to go work, right? And I lived in a tent for months, slept on a cot. We were working 18, 20, sometimes 24-hour days, just working a lot. And at the end of several months of this, I decided that I needed a break from restoration. Now I ended up getting back into it, even though I came out and I said, I'm not doing this again. I kept myself stuck in a employee, not just employee mentality, but you know, I wanted to get away from all responsibility. So I worked for a little while one of the jobs I did was customer service in a call center for a short period of time. And during that time, I got used to making faces at a computer because nobody could see me, right? I was on the phone with people. They would say something stupid and I'd make a face. Like, really? Are you doing that? Well, apparently I didn't notice that I started bringing those same manners and habits into how I was dealing with people in the real world. The thoughts and feelings that we have come out in our faces, guys, in your interactions with everybody else. So learning to understand who you are and love yourself and be clear about that and be open and honest about that. Yeah, people can absolutely hear you smile. They can hear all sorts of things. But then when we're interacting with other people, how you view them and the value that you give other people comes out in what you say, what you do, and the way you look, right? Now, it was after that I went in and you know, started the business together with my father-in-law and became a partner, and we built it up from there because, that was part of the journey that got us here. But understand that, yeah, body language is huge. But guys, that plays into my social media too. Because on Instagram, on Facebook, videos that I'm posting, if I go into it going, I hate this, but I got to do it. Trust me, that'll come out in the video. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to pop on a video and be super excited. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited to talk to you today. You've got some really awesome stuff to share. If that's not you at all, then don't be that. Just talk, right? Just be you. It comes out in all of the things that you do. And being your most authentic self, especially if you push yourself in a way that you're able to help others and see that there's more than just you involved in this world, that, there's a lot that you can do with that. All right. A couple of things. Looking at raising performance. Now I'm skipping over for now. I'm going to talk a little bit about it probably tomorrow, the generate energy. I want to talk about the raising necessity and looking at the necessity that we need to have performance-based and where that comes from. And it comes from internal and external forces. And maybe I need to, let's do a bigger screen here. So looking at the internal and external. All right. So we have internally, we have the identity, personal standards of excellence. This is how we feel about success and excellence. This is how we feel about the type of what we put into our work, right? This is how I feel about the work that I do for others, right? If I get paid a certain amount, am I doing everything to fulfill that? I saw something on social media in a couple of different places recently, and I couldn't disagree more with the sentiment. It was given by someone, and they were saying that, if you're paid to do something and they ask you to do more, never do it. Now, there's a limit to this. If you're an employee and you have a manager that asks you to do something that's completely foreign to what your job title is, or it's not just, I'm not talking about putting in unpaid overtime. I'm not talking about that. But outperforming what you're asked to do, in my mind, has always been Like, it was a sense of pride. I'm going to do more than what is required because I know at some point I'm either going to have an opportunity to do more there, or I will learn a skill that's going to benefit me down the road. Now, I thought about those things while I was an employee. Now, as a business owner, looking at what I put out and what I do and what I deliver with you guys and everything else, there's a standard of excellence instead of just showing up, right? Showing up is a big part of it, but showing up completely unprepared or not wanting to do anything different. You guys with your business every single day, because you have your regular work and you have family. And now I've got that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to work on my business. How do you show up and what kind of standards do you set for yourself? Are you obsessed with the topic and the process? Now, it doesn't have to be you get obsessed with running a Facebook ad. Maybe it's just I get obsessed with this process that's going to give me my freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, freedom from stress, or just the ability to breathe a little easier, whatever that is. I'm going to become obsessed with the process that's going to get me there. Right? When I was doing cleaning and restoration, I didn't become obsessed with that process and the network and marketing that I needed to do to build that business because I loved cleaning carpet, or I loved polishing marble, or I loved drying out houses. But I was going to be doing something and I wanted to do the best that I could do in it. How you guys treat this is going to play into the same thing. If you treat this and say, well, I'm going to do the best I can, but then, life gets in the way, you make up excuses, because a lot of you do. A lot of us do. Well, I would have, but, insert excuse. I was going to do this, but, well, blah, blah, blah. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And that holds true in so many different, in everything. Well said, Carolyn, and well said, Andrew. And then we had another from Napoleon Hill, was it? Yeah, over deliver. External forces, social duty, obligation, or purpose. And then real urgency and deadlines. All right, next. So, a couple of things. Identity, personal standards of excellence. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field or of endeavor. Vince Lombardi, Super Bowl winning coach from the Green Bay Packers. We quoted him before. But how you identify with the standard of excellence, boys and girls, that's a big part of it. Next, the obsession with understanding and mastering a topic. Long-term success as a coach or in any position of leadership, you have to be obsessed in some way. You guys are coaches right now, right? We're coaching business owners to get leads on social media. Something about this process, something about what you're doing, you need to become obsessed with. Now, it's not hard for a lot of you because we talked about the ADHD in entrepreneurs, and there's a bit of obsessive disorder involved when you're for a lot of us. And so it's okay. You'll get it. You'll be able to become obsessed, but be obsessed with becoming better. Now, it doesn't mean this journey to become better doesn't mean that I'm not content with, or I'm not satisfied with life, because I'm living my life better now than I ever have, but I'm not content with where I am. And so I'm obsessed with improving my life and the life of people around me and the lives of people that I interact with. Right? So you can have, exactly, Paul's saying, you can have the excuse, or you can have the extraordinary life, or extraordinary money, or extraordinary relationships, or all of those things, or the excuses. I can't make excuses if I want to be extraordinary. So think about where you're at, guys. Because some of you are listening to this and saying, but my situation is different. And it's not. It's really not. Somebody's got the same situation that you're in or worse, and they've overcome it. Okay, social duty, obligation, and purpose. High performers often feel the necessity to perform well out of a sense of duty to someone or something beyond themselves. Someone's counting on them, or they're trying to fulfill a promise or responsibility. When you feel the drive to serve others, you sustain solid performance longer. Guys, this does not mean that you're going to give of yourself to the point of detriment. High performers feel a need to do more, to accomplish more, and to allow other people to achieve more. But if you do it to the point that it affects your life in a negative way, you're going to struggle. Many of us experience a tremendous amount of empathy in who we are and what we do, and we want to help our family members, and we want to facilitate their growth, and we want to become everything that we can for them. You can't feed someone if your own cupboard is empty. right? If it's causing you stress to the point that you're not sleeping, or that it's damaging your bank account because you're constantly giving to someone else, or it's doing something that keeps you from progressing, then you're just hurting everybody involved. Yeah, there is a fine line into codependency. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to see if I can find one of my certified individuals or licensed individual come on and talk about dependency and codependency and everything else. But guys, understanding that serving others oftentimes means first becoming the best that you can be, and then doing everything in your power to lift and facilitate their growth, not to do for them, right? So, all right, a couple more slides, and then we'll roll. Real deadlines. High performers have a sense of urgency. They use a real deadline as a motivational tool. Nothing motivates action like a hard deadline. So what's a real deadline? It's a date that matters because if it isn't met, real negative consequences happen. You've got to create that though for you, guys. No one can create those deadlines. There's a reason that you have goals, and some of you say, well, I don't want to put a limit on it, or I don't want to set a goal and not achieve it. Push yourselves. Decide what you're going after. Understand that goals can shift. I'm not going to simply shift them because I ran into an obstacle though. I'm going to modify who I am and my level of activity and what I need to do in order to achieve them. Ladies and gentlemen, think about where you are, think about who you are, become more clear on those things, and then find a way to increase the necessity to achieve what you're looking to achieve. And if you want to know how to do that, tomorrow we're going to talk about developing more energy, having greater energy and more focus and more motivation in all that you do. We're going to talk a little bit about the social aspect of these habits, but no matter where you are, you can always find a way to be a little bit better and to rise up from the ashes, to fly like the phoenixes that you are. We're talking a little bit today about Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits. If you haven't got it, I recommend going out and reading it. It's absolutely fantastic. So please make sure that you join tomorrow. I'm going to send out an invitation for that.